VG Gaming, or even now for VG Gaming Reborn. I guess we'll see more of them soon. But he just brings that that X factor for me.
If you don't have an ES, Bounty Hunter, or an Enchantress player on your team, you just have to get out of this patch or out of the team. You have to learn those heroes, and you have to be those space makers, as you're talking about in the early game.
As much as you might hate pubbing against them,
yes, pubs,
Fear, 4 days ago, whining on Twitter about how broken Bounty Hunter is and how there's a Bounty Hunter every game, then immediately caught in the act picking the Bounty Hunter. But, you do what you got to do to win the game.
Yeah, it is a little bit unusual, though, with VP now because of the new faces in new roles. We don't really have a feel yet, I think, for what are going to be their signature heroes.
No,
going
we don't
forward.
really. Because I think they only played 8 games
Yeah,
with this
they
new
played,
route, something around there.
Yeah.
So it's very hard for us to have that sample size. So it's going to be interesting. They're going to be picking new stuff maybe for us.
And they've been up and down, right? They've had some kind of setbacks a week ago, but they're coming into this tournament off a 2-0, very convincing rout of Na'Vi, playing very well. Let's talk, though, about the matchup, guys. At least assuming Alliance are going to bring similar strats to the table for what we saw in Shanghai, do you think that that's a good or a bad matchup for VP?
Well, I guess we'll just talk about G versus S4 in the mid lane. I think S4 is probably the only person that's the best tempo controller, as you see Admiral Bulldog and Loda kind of taking all the farm.
There can only be one best, Al.
Yeah. I mean, S4 at this tournament has to be, that space maker all the time for this team. I don't see him playing in OD. I don't see him playing Invoker as many as I think he does run Quaswex, if you can correct me if I'm wrong, but he's not normally on those kind of farm eccentric heroes. He used to be on the Shadow Fiend, but ever since that's fallen out of the patch here, he's going to have to go back and be that tempo controller for the team, whereas G is more like he's going for that stable laning phase, that Zeus, that DP, and he's just going to be able to bring his A game to the mid game. But
I mean, it all revolves around Admiral Bulldog, right? Because they want to give him extra farm. The Nature's Prophet is a very common pick, obviously the Lone Druid as well. And even if they're not picking those heroes, it's often a Doom or Beastmaster was the other big hero we saw a lot of out of this team at Shanghai. Those heroes need more space, especially if you want to play them the way Bulldog did. And I think that's where S4 is just the perfect fit with that tempo controller style that you mentioned. Whereas I think it's still true that the team revolves around G a bit more. And we definitely saw that. Even in the interview, they brought it up as well that, historically, and I think to a lesser extent, but still the case now, VP wants to create space for G instead of kind of the opposite with S4. He's going around to make space for the rest of the team.
If G gets shut down in the mid game, when I see him play Zeus or something, it just seems like it's all over. Like we kind of saw from Vega last game. You just saw the Zeus couldn't get back. And we could say the same thing. If there's going to be a team that picks a Zeus and a Spectre, it's going to be VP. So, I mean, we're going to see if they want to have that on their side, but
hey, it's a good way to potentially shut down the Prophet, if you can get through the laning state. So if you're going to let him through, that's definitely an option.
Yeah, I think that you guys make some really good points there, especially that's really, to me, how Alliance won Starletter back in January. They put S4 on the Puck, on the Night Stalker mid, heroes that are a little bit more self-sufficient, less reliant on farm, because if you look at the way they play, they're looking to farm up both Loda and Admiral Bulldog in the side lanes. And S4 is really creating space for them. But VP, to me, is just the wild card. I'm looking at their online matches. I don't necessarily see, we were talking about this in the first series with LGD in terms of establishing that identity. I don't necessarily see that consistent identity yet from this new VP squad. It's hard for me to sort of frame for the audience what they're going to be trying to do and how that's going to match up with Alliance.
That's why this game is going to be so weird, because it could be a 2-1 for either series. Like we talked about, Alliance hasn't played that many official matches coming into this.
And
VP
it sounds like they're trying to switch up their style as well.
Yeah, so it's going to be very hard to see who's going to come out on top, Nahas. And you're asking me the question with VP being like that red marker. It's kind of like asking who's going to win if VGR have a stand-in. You don't know who's going to show up and perform.
So you were started to bring that up, I think, a second ago. That's the other real big question surrounding Alliance. In addition to that extended period off, so we don't know how much rust is going to be a factor. Do they really need to change their style of play? This is a theme for a lot of these teams. We came into Shanghai thinking that eHome's way of playing was the way to play this patch. It isn't necessarily. There are a lot of strats that can work. Does Alliance need to change up what they're doing?
I definitely don't think they need to completely change their identity. For me, the big thing is having a slightly expanded hero pool. We start to see that with Bulldog incorporating The Beastmaster a little more regularly. Like, sure, he's played other heroes in the past besides Lone Druid and Prophet, and he's done well on them, but they were always like, if these heroes are banned. But they were actually going to the Beastmaster over those heroes in games at times at the Shanghai Major. So
Yeah, you can't pick Dark Surfer Bulldog, you can't pick Bat Rider, so it's like some of these you can't, and so you don't have to target these necessarily for Bulldog, so it helps out a lot for the other team where you can just ban out, you know, the Enchantress for Ake or something, shut down the supports, and
yeah, I definitely think I do think his hero pool has been expanding. Like,
yes,
sure,
it has.
sure, they do they prioritize just a couple of heroes for him, more so at least historically and at Shanghai. But it sounds like they are trying to change up their strategy a bit to expand their hero pools, not just for him, but even for the team. Like, I remember at Shanghai, they picked the Naga 2 games in a row for Loda. That's a hero that no one was picking going into that event really at all. So. To me, Alliance is always going to have
maybe
that
that's why they
pocket picker
lost,
strategy.
is because they're listening to LD right now, changing their strategies. And
They
that's
won
why
the
they
first game. They didn't change it up for game 2.
Yeah.
I think that's why they got punished. But yeah, I definitely view Alliance as a team that has some pocket strats, maybe less so than other teams. But how do you know what VP? Like, to me, VP is the bigger wild card. Alliance will maybe make some tweaks. They'll throw a pocket pick in here or there, but their same stable strategy is going to be Loda's going to be on like a medium level of farm carry who can come to fights relatively early. More often than not, it's going to be a Juggernaut, a Sven, a Gyrocopter, an Ursa, something that can get active fairly early.
Yeah.
Bulldog will be on that semi-carry or even hard carry in the offlane, generally speaking. And in the mid lane, S4 will be on a tempo controller, Ake on a strong jungler. Like, EGM on a slightly greedier support. You pretty much, they have the template, right? So are they going to totally 180? I don't think so. I don't think they need to against VP. I think they just have to play their game.
No, and I don't think they should. I mean, when you look at Alliance, this is a team that when they are playing well, they leverage their individual players' strengths better than just about any other team out there. And that's really my concern for VP right now. When you look at Aloha Dance, right, their 4-position player, he was a guy that a lot of people talked about at 1 or maybe 2. He's an incredibly mechanically sound player. They stay with him at the 4 position, and they go to Yoku, who really made his hay with Team Empire with those more creative offlaners. He played a Pudge offlane. He's going to be their carry position player. So my question for VP is really, how are they going to leverage the strengths of their individual players?
Yeah, I want to go back there talking about, I really do miss Yoku plus Aloha Dance there,
Yes.
and that was my favorite duo back with Empire, and they would just get so many things, like you talked about the Pudge, their Earthshaker combos with the other support rotation. Oh man, I miss that so much. But yeah, all eyes are still going to be on Yoku and FNG. FNG, see how he plays in that offlane. Is he going to be the greedy? Or is he going to go for like Darkseer and make those plays around the map? And then Yoku, like he's been playing tempo controllers this whole time in his career. What is he going to play now? Is he going to play like Gyro Chopper? You're going to play a Gyro plus a Timber? Yeah, there we go.
No, I wonder, because to me, and I will probably be roundly flamed for this, but to me, right now, if you look at the game as it is, I think your 3 and 4 position play in game and your captain's leadership are what wins you majors right now. And so to me, putting a player like Yoku, who had really shown that creativity and that aptitude for the offlane role, back at the carry position, it's a big risk, and they really need to believe that he can do something really special at that position.
Yeah, we talked about this a lot behind closed doors, guys. When we talked about like what will make a better, okay, so who should be in the captain position is basically we talked about how Eternal Envy struggled being the captain of his team, and now that he's on Secret, Puppy does all the work, and so it's a lot better. Now it's going to be the same story. Like, I do agree with you. Whoever has the best supports captaining in game are going to have better times, because that frees up your cores to just do whatever they want, and they don't have to be the shot callers, and you can do whatever.
All right, so it looks like we have a draft online now. We're going to get into Game 1 of Alliance versus Virtus.Pro. And, okay, so no picks or bans just yet. We are in on the very front end, but what do you think VP is going to be looking to take out?
You just saw it already.
Oh, okay, all right. There you go. Not surprising.
I mean,
not surprising.
Well, they get first pick, so you don't have to necessarily Enchantress.
There you go.
They're going to try to pick Enchantress now. You're going to ban Wisp, and then Alliance.
I think you go ahead and ban the Enchantress's Alliance
maybe
anyway.
Beast. Okay, so.
Well, there's also the Earth Spirit, which No Fear is 10-2 on.
Fair enough.
They haven't run it that much with the VP draft, but if it's out there, I think they'll definitely consider it.
Now, just as a side note, guys, interesting that I believe Lone Druid this is the 3rd straight match that he's been banned in the first phase. And it's a little bit surprising to me, because at least to me, Lone Druid got punished pretty heavily at Shanghai by teams like MVP who brought that early lane pressure. Is he still first phase ban worthy, do you think?
Depends on how the laning phase is set up. That's the best thing for a lone druid is when you get a lot done when they kind of run this greedy lineup from the enemy team when they run dual lanes, then you're able to pull the creep wave constantly. But this is very interesting now. Kind of taking away Alliance's heroes. Are they going to go for Enchantress plus Beastmaster now for Alliance? Or how do they want to play this against the Nature's Prophet? I mean, if you're going to play a Nature's Prophet against Alliance, you have to have the strategy worked out because
if this is Shanghai, they go immediately into Beastmaster
Right.
edge here. I would say that's like their go-to duo. And to me, what this says is VP is not afraid of an Alliance Earth Spirit, and frankly, probably doesn't even think they'll pick it. And they're like, hey, let's take the NP now. We don't have to ban 2 Bulldog heroes. We can effectively block pick the NP by taking it for ourselves. And now we can get an Earth Spirit or anything else. We don't have to worry about giving it away at second pick.
But people have talked about Earth Spirit from the beginning of 6.86, but to me, the hero of this patch is easily Chen. He has been consistently strong. He's got about a 60% win rate on the patch. He's got an even sexier win rate on the Dire side in particular, and Ake, with more Chen wins than just about anybody out there besides Puppy, has been absolutely dominant in that hero. And then, hi, Syndrin.
God's getting his fiend done, has to keep all the fangirls happy, but we're just here trying to cast some Dota, So, second pick. If they don't go Earth Spirit, what else do VP want, I guess, is the question. Generally, they run their NP in the off lane. That's where most teams do, so.
they might pick the Zeus now, just in case it gets banned. Zeus is one of those the best heroes against the Chen.
As like a mid Zeus, or with the option of a support?
Yeah.
With G, it's probably going to be in Zeus.
I mean, it's either Zeus or maybe even a bounty hunter for shutting down the Chen. Okay.
Oracle first phase.
Yeah,
so
we would never see that.
they've been some of the CIS teams have been doing this, demonstrating just how much they value that hero, and it looked okay in the last series. I think that leaves a lot. It leaves a lot on the table for Alliance, I think.
They just keep picking it up for the Beastmaster Roar, and it's still a good hero in the lane. Once you get level 3, you can nuke down everybody. And you can just get a lot of harassment done. And we talked about the saving potential. It's always going to be there against the Beastmaster. So I think it's just a better form of Dazzle because the Grave range, you have to level it up. But with Oracle, it's already, what here? How long is that range cast? I mean,
It's pretty long.
It's pretty damn. And then you're going to have Aether Lens at a very good time. So
I guess the thing for me is Oracle's a very defensive pick by nature. This is not a hero that's going to go around setting up ganks or creating space. He'll pretty much be looking to mirror the Chen, but it does put Alliance very much in the driver's seat with the first 2 picks. NP can move around the map a bit, but Beastmaster's not an easy hero to gank. Normally we'll have a Quelling Blade or Tangos to retreat anyway, pretty high armor. He's not an easy kill. The Chen's going to be off the map, and also great at ganking the NP. So I feel like just with these first 2 picks, Oracle's got his work already cut out for him.
Yeah, and I also want to highlight, I think this is where you see Alliance reap the benefits of S4 having such a deep hero pool that they're able to ban the OD and Invoker themselves. They're able to have the Puck and Death Prophet banned against them, and you still have plenty of options for S4 at that mid position. He's still comfortable on the Night Stalker. He occasionally will play a Dragon Knight mid. There's still lots of options for Alliance at all 3 roles.
Yeah, I would save it for later. Maybe get your Vengeful Spirit now. I mean, what other hero can they really go? I guess Witch Doctor's really good for the Nature's Prophet early on. Add some extra sustain to their push. So I think Alliance will go Venge or Witch Doctor here.
Yeah,
it's like the safe, stable bet.
If they go Venge, this could still be. Oh, they're going to okay. And this is a Loto hero from way back. He's been playing this hero for a very long time and gets a lot of value out of that healing ward push in the early mid game, as well as being a very strong laner on this particular hero.
So we know the Death Ball is coming, guys. What is going to be? What is going to fend them off?
And they have no lockdown here for Juggernaut. Their wave clear is okay.
Probably has to be Gyro now.
Yeah, I think it's got to be something along those lines. Gyro is not a great matchup versus Juggernaut, though, in general.
Yeah.
But you have the Oracle now, which could keep him alive, but he still should go down after that Omni Slash.
I mean, they need wave clear. They need a hero that can get in the fights pretty early. They have a lot of holes to fill already, and they don't have any control through Blade Fury either. Another thing to keep an eye on. Their Roche control is mediocre. They have Trance to scout it, but that's really about it. No one to take the fight there, so... I feel like VP got a they have to fill a lot of needs here with these next couple picks.
Yeah, I think
this to me is where you still wish Quap was a hero, right? I mean, Queen of Pain, G is
I'll
so
take,
explosive.
I'll take some lane dominance, some 1v1 kill potential, great team fight, great ganking.
But, I mean, she's got like a 25% win rate since Shanghai.
Yeah.
What if they went, say, Enigma plus Gyrocopter? They would have push of their own, a lot of push, and then have sustain plus the anti.
You have no control. Is the problem? You have no control outside the black hole, really.
Okay.
Okay, and they're gonna go the Zeus for Z.
This gives them a lot of D push. I like that. Also gives them some Roche control with the ability to scout. Good D warding as well, which is very important for that. But they have no real stuns right now through 3 picks against a Juggernaut, who you already need, ideally Magic Community piercing lockdown. So
you just go Witch Doctor here for Alliance, and you just win through heal alone. That would be funny,
The days
though.
of Ancient Apparition are gone.
Yeah, I was about to say, AA, where is it? Okay.
Oh, you said Quap is dead, Alan, but we're going to see
It's like
him
the
now.
only hero left in the mid lane that's a tempo controller, really.
Yeah,
I mean, Batrider's still there, but against an Oracle, it's not the best.
And the way S4 plays it, S4 doesn't necessarily need to snowball on this hero as much as other players. He's not necessarily a greedy Queen of Pain. He tends to be a little bit more active around the map. I really do like the Sven pickup for Virtus.Pro. Again, I was very concerned by the lack of lockdown, and Stormhammer at least gives you something along with the damage output coming from Cleave.
Yeah, it's also been one of Yoku's most played heroes in the few VP games that we've seen. And pretty independent hero. Warcry's great against the Juggernaut ult, as well as just the attack speed from Beastmaster. The extra physical damage mitigation really helps. So it also gives them lockdown. It gives them their first stun of the game. So I like that as well. Definitely is going to need the team's help. Like Sven cannot take them on by himself, but I think it's a key frontline piece for them here.
Yeah, I'm really liking VP's lineup a lot more and more as you look at it, because the Zeus for the D push, and then you have Sven's talked about it. He's going to add a lot of that. And then he can just be that frontliner right now because they have that Oracle. I would still like for them to have some other support that can add it more, like the Enigma. I mean, I still think they can get away with it because the enemy is running a Chen, but
I guess it really comes down to how is Ake going to approach the game. Is he just going to focus on farming up a fast mech level 6 so that they can go for like that really hard tier 2 push, or does he want to try to win the lanes? Do they just look to pressure a Zeus or NP, both of whom are generally pretty squishy and gankable?
Yeah, Queen of Pain could get a solo kill.
Oracle can't be everywhere.
With Ake Chen, it's almost always going to be the latter, especially looking at the lane matchups. I mean, we saw how vulnerable Zeus is in the last match to early rotations.
And you're running a safe lane Sven against a Beastmaster. You leave him alone, especially the first few levels, Bulldog's going to have a really easy time of it. I mean, or maybe if Alliance even gets aggressive with the Juggernaut potentially, but assuming it's the standard offlane Beastmaster, I feel like if the Chen puts pressure on either the offlane or mid, it basically wins Bulldog's lane automatically.
Yep.
With a chance to get kills in those lanes as well.
You get solo kills a lot of the time with the Queen of Pain on Zeus too. So having extra help. I think what Ake does is he stacks while having one creep sending the mid constantly, and then he hopes for the Wild One Ripper. So you can do both at the same time. And there's the Witch Doctor ban. So Alliance probably want to go back for, I think, Venge here. It's going to be
Venge or Lion would both be okay.
Either way, score 1 for the Allens. Good job. I feel like it's not fair. You guys have doubled the number of people to get the predictions out there. But yeah, I think Venge would be quite nice here. Also, if there is an Enigma pick in the offlane, it helps to prevent that. Gives them another form of initiation. Because right now it's just the Roar against an Oracle for Alliance. That's, to me, probably the one slight weakness in the draft. So ideally some form of lockdown or initiation.
Yeah, you swap that Sven in, and then he's out of those Oracle range of False Promise. So
that's definitely a good way to do it. Oracle runs in, you roar him, get 2 kills.
Wow.
But they get a little bit of both.
This is just, oh man.
This is
I'm scared.
A little push cheese. I mean, they have insurance though. It's not like Alliance is all in by any stretch. They have good late game. They have solid lanes. They have good Roche potential. It's a pretty well-rounded draft from them, to be honest.
You ever play a pub against a Rasta Juggernaut?
Yeah, forget it.
Oh my goodness. I don't want to go in the lane ever, but
especially not as Furia.
Oh, there we go. This is the perfect pick.
You really think so? I think it's going to be hard for them to get off a good curse against that lineup.
I think it'll be easy for Juggernaut to get cursed, but he'll have an Aegis most of the time because they're going to have this huge tempo controlling from Alliance. And yeah, I think who's going to win this?
Yeah, quick predictions, guys. Give them to me fast.
I'm definitely favoring Alliance here.
Alliance. All right. Well, with that said, let's throw it out to our casters, the Sultan of Silky Smooth AC, and David GoDz Parker.
the other guy.
Yep, that's right. I'm still here, but they handed me this joker over to be my co-caster this time. I really appreciate the fiending that the rest of the world got to see.
I'm already like, I haven't observed in a while, okay?
Looking back through my casting history, I have put much worse things on screen than my Twitter feed. So don't worry. I'm in good company.
As have I. I'm sure Twitch chat will remind us. But
well, we're jumping into the game. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. Once again, our second series here at the Star Ladder I-League Invitational. We've already seen one team take a punch with Vega LGD moving on for our first series. Now Alliance and Virtus.Pro. We heard our panel break down the draft, David. Why don't you talk me through how you think the first 60 seconds of laning phase are going to look for us?
for VP, like looking towards how much the offliners can get out of the lane is always, to me, something that kind of becomes important. FNG on Nature's Prophet will be looking to rush phase boots, pull the creep wave, try and get what experience and farm he can. On the Alliance side, it's a bit more of a struggle for a Beastmaster to get something out of the lane, but he can rush, he can go for that Iron Talon, the new item that allows him to jungle and catch up there. So he's got other options available to him to kind of look to get his farm. But in general, I feel like VP maybe a slight laning edge as far as the offliners go, but Zeus in the mid does struggle a lot against Queen of Pain, and that's a lane where, with some Chen rotations, VP could be under a lot of pressure.
Yeah, that's kind of the impression I get too. I mean, just looking at it and thinking through the first few minutes of what the goals are going to be on either side. I think so much of Alliance's ability to arc into the later stages of the early game and really begin to take control of the map the way they're going to want to is completely dependent on Ake's ability to not only pressure, but to pressure effectively. It's one thing for him to pressure a lane, make someone duck under their own tower, but getting those kills, making sure that when you do take your time away from the jungle or when you do commit to trying to put pressure somewhere, it's actually following through and becoming something a little bit more substantial than lost time. That said, when I look at VP's lineup, correct me if I'm wrong here, but I feel like Alliance, just by nature of the lineup they've drafted, have a lot more room for error compared to VP. Like, if a few things go wrong early, there are a few, bad pushes, bad fights, you end up, taking bad trades 2 or 3 times in a row. Alliance with that dire side advantage with the Chen, I think is just going to go crazy. So VP's got to be on point in all phases of the early game.
Absolutely. A hero like Zeus is not going to want to be in a comeback position in general. Right. And you've got these kind of 2 squishy supports. So if Queen of Pain gets off to a good start, it's not going to be very forgiving for VP. And already we're seeing S4 getting a huge block advantage in the mid lane, has completely crushed G on this first wave. G able to get a couple CS with the Arc, but he's getting harassed very heavily. And, well, less than 60 seconds in, we're seeing a smoke from Ayesee as well.
Yeah, and this is what you would expect. Like you said already, the advantage is there. He's going to go ahead and take the high road along the ridgeline. Looks like he wants to head top. Yeah, he's going to take
the courier. He's thinking, he sees this courier, I believe. Oh, he will in a second here, and it's going to be bottle crowing. So he's waiting for the courier to return back to base, even drops down the ward. So he has vision of this courier, and this is huge. Zeus is probably the most bottle-dependent hero in the mid lane.
Oh, that's so brutal. The Zeus, already struggling, as you have pointed out, had just caught up, was using the bottle crow to keep his ground. Now in real trouble here in mid, and Ake already paying off on that ability to put pressure on. Well played.
And as soon as that happened, S4 is blinking on the high ground just to use a Shadow Strike, knowing that this Zeus has no regen to work with, has to walk back to base. This is very reminiscent of the game at the recent Major. It was Jerax on Phoenix did something very similar. I believe it was against EG, where he snipes the Zeus's bottle, and Zeus's early game is just ruined because of it. There's no real way to play without a bottle in the mid lane as Zeus.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I was watching that in a big room with all of EG leadership, I should say. Okay. that is imprinted in my head. Anyway, Ake taking a little bit of harassment here from FNG, but he's going to be able to make it away. He's level 2.5 already, so not doing bad level-wise. Here we go. They're going to try to turn it on him, though, and a great rotation. No fears there. S4 forced to blink away, and VP caught Alliance maybe sleeping at the wheel a little bit there.
Yeah, they bring in enough numbers with the Winter Wyvern having a double damage. He actually did a huge amount of damage to the Chen, so.
Oh, yeah. That plus Arctic Burn is just brutal.
Yep. Oh, Bulldog, really not important for him. He actually... He decentried his big camp over here by the secret shop, and when Aloha Dance comes in again to try and block it once more, he's there ready to Iron Talon down the sentry ward. So Aloha Dance unable to get the block onto that camp, which guarantees Bulldog can continue to farm using this Iron Talon.
Yeah, he's doing okay as well. He's up to level 2.5, give or take. Of course, FNG has a few more options in terms of how to manage things out in the off lane. He's sitting at level 4.5, so already a very good start for him.
He's done a really good job keeping these treants active. He's got a treant deep in the enemy jungle. They even used one of their early wards to try and scout this jungle. They're very wary that Aki, more than most Chen players, will be very active roaming around. So he's just trying to scout the Chen's position, figure out when and if he's going for a smoke gank so that he can try and prevent it.
Little things, too, like keeping the creep kind of hidden here to block the spawning of the camp, limits Ake's options so far as what creeps he's going to get, how quickly he can farm. So just really good play from VP so far. And getting that bottle was big, but I feel like VP has bounced back admirably. They left the Wyvern in mid there for a while, we saw. And now with the Courier backup, Zeus going to be able to keep going. 17 to 24 CS, not as bad as it could have been, I don't think.
Yeah, considering he's against the Queen of Pain, which is a bad matchup, he had a bad block and lost his Courier, I think you're more than happy where Zeus is now.
Uh-oh. No stun. If he had had a Satyr, or Centaur, excuse me, maybe able to prevent that TP away, but still the Prophet forced back as S4 found the bounty rune.
And the more important rune, the Arcane rune, bottom lane for G on Zeus, but just level 5, not really at the stage of the game where he can get a huge amount of value out of this. Maybe he'll hit level 6 and be able to get an Arcane rune, Thunder God's Wrath off, but he's just going to pop it for some harass on S4 mid.
All right, so we're about 5 minutes in here. We can look at the CS. Loda's doing quite well, but without a doubt, the Sven, played by Yoki, is doing quite well as well. Looking, coming up 5-6 minutes, this seems to be when, with the offlane being the way it is now and how aggressive teams want to play, when you really start to see the laning phase begin to disintegrate. Who do you think's under the gun to pull the trigger first here?
For Alliance, it's not so much they're under the gun, but they want to start taking objectives. Their first move is going to be towards the Tier 1 safe lane tower. Unfortunately, pushing this is very difficult against the Nature's Prophet. If he's got treants up, he can always draw aggro off the tower. So ideally, they need to try and get that kill, which Aki's rotation doesn't find. So I think VP, they're not under the gun at all. They're going to play slow pace. They'll start stacking up the Ancients for the Sven. He's going to be rushing that Helm of the Dominator and looking just to get as much farm as possible out of the jungle stacks, out of the Ancient stack. And it's going to come down to Alliance to contest them. And to do that, they need to start taking Tier 1 objectives.
Small little thing to notice here, but seeing the Bracer pick up along with the full build-out of the Magic Wand for FNG, really dig that, knowing how aggressive Alliance is going to want to be with the push lineup, just spending a little gold early to make yourself a little bit more survivable, a little bit more able to take a shot in the nose as fights begin to break out across the map.
Yeah. They're even giving No Fear on the Winter Wyvern at top a lane to get experience. I mean, you talk about the push coming early. Having more points in Splinter Blast is probably one of your best tools to slow down that push. So
excellent point.
rotate the Nature's Prophet in the jungle, give one of your supports a lane, and suddenly you're looking at a reasonable time on the level 6 on Winter Wyvern, and also just even a third point in Splinter Blast gives a nice little boost in damage output. Yeah,
and if you take a look at the XP and gold, we can see it actually is Alliance as expected with the way mid went a bit ahead. But it's, again, not getting too bad. I mean, it's an efficiency problem that VP is going to have to be conscious of, but they have managed to keep Alliance from getting any kills or taking any major objectives for the first 6 minutes, and I think that's a win.
S4's got Sonic Wave and maybe hunting here. But I mean, it goes back to the Bracer pickup. With that little bit of extra HP, S4 just doesn't quite have the same solo kill potential in Nature's Prophet as he otherwise would.
Yep. Small things, small things. Bulldog's getting close to 6, though, and I would imagine that'll be the word go. One way or another, as soon as he gets 6, they're going to want to get him out and yelling at somebody.
I think the plan there is you either want to bring the Chen to the Beastmaster, but I think even better is just send Beastmaster top, TP up there, either smoke up with the Chen or just go for a straight-up push. With Beastmaster plus Chen, you 4-man group up and you pretty much secure yourself that Tier 1 top tower. Taking this Tier 1 top tower becomes really important this game more than most because of how much easier it is to contest the Ancients with that Tier 1 tower top down. You can then kind of take an approach from the top lane as well as the mid lane from the river. So for Alliance's Tier 1 top tower is actually a key objective.
Yeah, it looks like there's no real movement to keep it alive either. S4 is hiding over in the secret shop, but really not a whole lot of work being done other than some Splinter, but hang on, there's going to be a dive onto No Fear. Yep, Omni Slash is there. Level 1 Omni Slash, not usually that powerful, but just enough that time along with the damage from S4. So they get on the board finally, knotted up 1-1. Tier 1's going to drop, and I love the fact they did that without rotating Bulldog. So he's been able to stay down here, continue farming, get his gold up, and now getting close to level 7.
Yeah, it means he's now going to be ready for like a rotation to come towards bottom lane if he really wants to. EGM actually about to hit level 6 as well, so Alliance perhaps not done in this top lane. Serpent Wards will be online very, very soon.
Well, 8 minutes, sun's back out. Let's see how Alliance wants to reset. If you're VP right now, my friend, How are you considering how you want the next 10 minutes to play out? You know what you're staring at. Like, yes, there could be some creativity, some smokes, whatever, but all in all, you know what the goal is for Alliance. How do you gird yourself against that?
I think it's less about preventing Alliance achieving their goals and more about making sure you achieve yours, which is going to be to farm Sven this Ancient stack, which is probably the biggest challenge for them. That's going to, over the next kind of 3 to 4 minutes, all he needs, he can farm it right now. He's maxed out the cleave already. Probably wants level like 8, so he gets a second point in Warcry. But with his ultimate, he can farm that stack right away. So for Alliance, you're thinking, let's keep the Hawk up. Let's keep vision around this area. VP Observer Ward down, Sentry Ward down. They're doing everything to try and protect
Very
this.
important smoke attempt going on Yoki right now. That's S4 and Aki snuck across the river. There's a Shadow Strike, and the Centaur's there with the stun. Going to follow it up with another. He's tanky, but not tanky enough, even with the War Cry. They're able to bring him down. Bulldog was there, and once again, didn't even have to use his roar. Now they're going to be able to use it. Aloha Dance caught out under his own Tier 1 bottom. Alliance managing to take a couple of kills and get ready to take yet another Tier 1, and they're doing such a great job doing this without splitting or without having to consolidate everyone. EGM and Loda are still farming top. Now Loda's going to rotate
They
out.
want to defend mid. He's TPing to the Tier 2, which is kind of a setup and prep to defend this Tier 1 mid tower. Loda with drums, Omni Slash in 10 seconds. They want to fight this.
And S4 forces the Zeus back. There's going to be the winner's curse. Basically just buying some time. Can they catch up? They can. FNG's going to drop, and now the shackles and the wards on No Fear as Alliance is just rolling this map up and forcing VP on an utter retreat. And again, they're not overcommitting. They have Bulldog down at bottom. They win that fight. Bulldog still farming bottom, still pressuring the tower. Tier 1 middle, drop to the Serpent Wards. This is just a clinic on how to run an early chin push lineup. Well done.
They're moving around the map just so well right now and using their resources incredibly well. They're never overcommitting. Like you said, it's never like, let's bring 5 heroes in to guarantee we win this fight. They bring just enough to win the fight, take a tower, and then they're already in position to defend VP's response.
Okay. Caught. I'm not going to say it. There comes a point where I've heard it so many times from other people and imitating me, I don't even want to say it. He got caught, and he's dead, but that is a big old stack for that Sven, and he is going to work on it now. So
as far as Sonic Wave, though, and is nearby, but doesn't look like he's in a position to contest this.
He might use it here. Oh, wow. Crazy good use of regen there. As he used, I'm pretty sure he used a Fairy Fire and a Bottle Charge to keep himself alive through the Zeus ult. So.
With the Wand as well. So he's actually getting salved up. He may re-engage here.
Oh, this would be really unexpected, I think. Let's see. VP, I feel like, is really holding their line well. They just need to bend and not break. They got Sven the farm they want. He's continuing to now farm up. He's already picked up his Sange, so his item development is looking good. He has the most last hits on the board. He has the highest net worth on the board. The problem is shoring up the gap between Jugger, the Queen of Pain and Beastmaster, and then the rest of the cores for VP. If they can just hold on, win one big fight, they're going to be in great shape.
And that's the thing. At this stage, it does just come down to that one big fight for VP. That'll get heroes like Zeus back into the game. Nature's Prophet also not seeing the kind of farm we often have come to expect out of a Nature's Prophet. So you kind of put these ultimates together, and that's one of the best ways to fight into this big push of Alliance with that heavy team fight that the Thunder God's Wrath with the Wrath of Nature provide. But Alliance, once they get the mech on Chen, they've got the sustain. They'll have Hand of God and mech, and that pretty much entirely will kind of counteract that double ultimate from VP.
Roche will drop, and Alliance ready to go to work. In the meantime, the Tier 1 did drop the VP, and I got to commend VP. They've been under just heavy fire for the last, 5 straight minutes. They've been losing objectives, or losing towers, losing heroes, and they've still managed to keep themselves in a good position just because what they've given up has not been something they couldn't afford to give up.
Yeah.
And like you said, FNG's farm is going to kick in. He is going with the Drum of Endurance, so even more sustain for them. And we'll see what Alliance wants to do. If you were Alliance right now, other than the obvious, run at towers, win fights, is there any way that you feel like you can really break the back of VP?
I think finding smoke, you want to get the pickoffs with the objectives as possible. So I think going for smoke ganks where you find a pickoff on a core hero and then transition into a tower. So finding kills on the enemy side of the map is the ideal way to try and play this. So getting a Blink Dagger on Shadow Shaman is, there we go. EGM's actually got it. He just got the money for it. 12.5 minutes in. Finding kills for Alliance becomes maybe a bit more lucrative at this point, just because of the fact that keeping heroes like G on the Zeus down is going to just mean their push is more likely to succeed later on.
SNY not far from being done. Big pickup for the Sven. Imagine he'll go BKB after that. You think so?
I think Blink Dagger could come first.
You think so?
The Blink into BKB.
Oh, well, can't blink through that. However, he's going to get some help. Shackles are there, though. Aloha Dance hitting him with the Fate's Edict. And he's going to end up dying anyway. But here comes VP trying to re-engage. It's just a cluster on field, but Omni Slash goes off. Loda already used the Blade Fury, unable to follow it up. Doesn't matter. A couple of right clicks more. Down goes FNG, and they manage to bring down the Oracle. Alliance taking a big, big fight. And it was actually False Promise, not Fate's Edict, so sorry for the miscall there. It's still just my second game casting the Oracle.
The sustain from Alliance was just too much. The healing ward with the Hand of God. And a hero like Oracle, it's kind of sustained, but it's really just more like delay tactics. Like, okay,
Right.
this hero will stay alive for 5 extra seconds, and then we'll do a bit of damage during that time, but he's still going to inevitably die anyways, because
Exactly.
Alliance just had so much damage. But Alliance just kept everyone alive.
Oh, S4!
Aegis, though.
Doesn't
So-
matter. I mean, being able to get the Aegis,
Yeah.
that's still going to be
It's-
on cooldown for 2 straight minutes now, though.
I think for Alliance, you're fine with that. It's like, okay, yeah, we could have had the Aegis for another 2.5 minutes, but that wasn't even a kill going to VP, so.
Ooh, S4 going hunting, manages to catch up with FNG. Sonic Wave is there. Let's see if the bonus
Close.
damage. Nope, not enough. Good play by Aloha just to keep him safe just in case, so bit of a missed opportunity there. Either way, it's 2-9, and Alliance continuing to roll here. They've built a gold lead to about 10,000, David.
It only gets worse at this point, Aaron. The problem really comes that Alliance now have their core items. Everything up until now where Alliance were like kind of close on kills, taking some tier 1 towers was before the mech was up, before the Orchid. The Jug just sitting on his drums now has a Yasha to go with it. Shadow Shaman has recently picked up the Blink. This is really where Alliance gets strong and scary. Bulldog, he saved up 2k gold. I think we'll be seeing that Necro 1 into Blink build that has kind of become a bit more popular with the Beastmaster, not just straight rushing the Necro 3. And then you've got this strong initiation. There's so many heroes in Alliance that have almost solo kill potential. Shadow Shaman can almost get solo kills with his Serpent Wards. Beastmaster gets solo kills. Jug can with the Omni Slash. Queen of Pain can with the Orchid. So it's impossible to ever really farm the map as a hero like Nature's Prophet who wants to split push because there's too many heroes that can actually punish you.
Well, you know, something just occurred to me, and it's relatively small, I suppose, but it's like you were saying with Oracle. You know, he's kind of a delay tactic kind of a hero. Same thing to a certain extent with Wyvern. And then you look at Alliance, and I don't think Alliance really gives a damn if you want to drag these fights out. They've got the Juggernaut Healing Ward. They've got Chin's Ultimate now with the Mechanism picked up on AK. Like, they are absolutely fine with bursting you, and then if you don't drop, just continuing to drag those fights out. Wait for Warcry to expire, and so on and so on. They just have so many ways to erase the damage that VP is going to try to turn out. And to tell you the truth, their damage is not really feeling all that lethal at the moment.
Yeah, and you don't normally look at a like Zeus Nature's Prophet draft and think, oh, they're lacking in damage, but
Right.
it's become the case. Zeus is just level 9 at this stage of the game and hasn't had a good start. Has only died once. I think, and all credit to G. After losing his bottle, versing a Queen of Pain with a bad block, he's managed to not give away any kills beyond the singular one and has really kind of held his own, but things are going to get tough for him when the high ground push starts coming and he hasn't quite got the levels he'd hoped for.
There's going to be another tower brought down. That's going to be EGM with the help of the wards. I think he spin. Yeah, he did.
Yep.
So, I mean, how do you stop the bleeding, man? I'm putting you in the captain's chair. You're down a lot of gold. What do you do?
Sven needs to get... I think the reason you want the Blink Dagger is it gives you playmaking potential. The BKB can kind of keep you alive, allow you to do a bit more in a fight. Hold on a second here.
Wyvern.
Goodbye.
Free kill.
But the Blink on the Sven gives you some initiation. Like right now, you have 0 initiation. The Blink Dagger on the Sven is going to be your only way to start off a fight on your own terms. So having a hero like Sven, you can just blink in. And then when he gets roared, you've got the Oracle to immediately try and false promise off the Roar, the Hex, the Shadow Shaman.
Right.
It's going to be risky regardless because, hey, you false promise off the Roar, then he gets hexed up afterwards. So there's like a follow-up disable for Alliance. But you need to just hope that you catch Alliance by surprise with that blink.
Right. And you know, it kind of comes down to what we were talking about before is, you know, how much room for error Alliance has. You know, trying to put them in situations where they have to make a lot of decisions very quickly, react, and, you know, immediately say, okay, I need to hex after this. That's probably the best way to go because, I mean, at this point, Alliance is just too far ahead to assume you can out-initiate them without a little bit of trickeration.
Yeah. It's going to come down to just going at Alliance when they're not ready or expecting you, because if Alliance are in position, like if they manage to walk up to your base towards your high ground, they're always going to have their Shadow Shaman positioned such that, okay, Sven initiates on us, we'll save the Hex till after the False Promise to make sure he doesn't just team wipe us with the God String. So they'll always try to have a backup plan, which is where I think for VP, at some point they're going to have to go on the aggressive.
Yep. Alliance, again, continues to really manage this map so well. They still got a tier 1. Or, yeah, they still got a tier 1 standing. Tier 1 bottom still standing. And they just managed to take a tier 2 top with only sending 2 heroes. So VP at this point is playing so in the dark. I mean, we can see they've got wards out, but they're not really helping them. They're not getting any comfort on the map from these wards. They have to play so far back.
Yeah, they need to try and keep tabs of these Alliance heroes as much as possible, and right now that's just proving to be too difficult. Beastmaster Hawk just giving Alliance kind of the superior map control, and just even against the Nature's Prophet, they're keeping all these lanes pushed out, keeping VP constantly under pressure.
And it looks like they are beginning to tighten the noose a little bit here. They've been consistently playing, dipping back into their own jungle, and this will probably give VP a little room to breathe as they're going to see S4s out there. Not smoking or anything yet. Wouldn't surprise me if they decided to try to make some kind of an end around. But Veil coming out on Zeus, that's going to help shore up the issue of damage we talked about.
Yep. No, that's definitely going to make things a little bit better for them. If they can combo that with the Splinter Blast as well, it will help negate some of that push. But to me, one of the bigger problems that we're still seeing is that VP haven't been able to keep stacking the Ancients. Often by 20 minutes in, you'll see a Sven have cleared at least 2 Ancient stacks, sometimes 3. But they're just too concerned that Alliance have complete map control. Alliance are in a position where they can contest it, maybe even take it for themselves, that they don't want to risk just putting everything into the Ancients. Instead, we just see Sven kind of moving around the map, farming lanes, farming the jungle a bit, but trying to just evenly distribute his kind of time spent around the map. But he's just not farming as fast as you'd hope he would.
Going to be a very long respawn time for Roche, so that's going to buy a little time for VP maybe.
Yep.
Pretty obvious that Alliance is really hoping to just take an Aegis and push high ground now. But hang on, I hear.
It's just a crit.
Couldn't find it for some reason. Yeah, see, like that's the kind of rust that you have to.
Well,
shake off
you hear my audio, so you're
right.
looking at yours.
Exactly, it is actually kind of disorienting.
Yeah. But no, I totally agree. I think when Alliance get the next Aegis, they're in a position to take high ground. What they've taken all the outer towers. When you get the next Aegis, it's just a question of, does Aegis give us the tools to actually break high ground? And I think the answer is clearly yes. When you've got Serpent Wards, you've got the Chen Creep Army. The Veil and the magic damage upward, if Alliance managed to get down the Serpent Wards, Veil's not going to help there. You've got to go in and actually physically attack those Serpent Wards to break them down, and then you're putting yourself in a position to get roared, to get shackled, and to just give Alliance those kills, which will just open things up completely to take a lane of racks.
Yep. And again, if you're VP, you're in a situation where you really have to prioritize bursting down 1 or 2 heroes, because if you don't, even if you just mangle 3 or 4, the healing that's going to come out between the mech, the Chin ult, and the Jugger Ward, like, you just can't take fights that way. So not only is it that you have to have damage, you have to make sure that you're using it the correct way. There's going to be an ult just for vision as they do finally take down the tier 1 bottom of Alliance. Alliance is going to rotate over, and yeah, looks like I like this from VP. They're getting a little bit of a reprieve. The long Roche respawn timers allowing them to farm. They get an objective. And in the meantime, still not stacking that camp, man. I'm just as surprised as you are.
I think Sven, he's got a Helmet Dominated creep. He's just using an Alpha Wolf to follow him around to farm. I think at this stage, if you're not stacking, you at least want to keep your Dominated creep in the Roshan pit so you can know exactly when Roche respawns and if and when Alliance go for it. They're trying to use the treants a little bit, but that's been getting counterplayed. And for VP, they keep... Like, they'll TP back, push out the lanes, and they immediately group up. I think they're going to smoke. They know Roche can be up any second now, and they want to try and win a fight or at least try and catch Alliance around that Roche pit area.
Here we go. Alliance going to move up into the dark. They're going to be caught out. S4 uses his BKB, just finished it. It's going to be 10-second charge. Here he comes back in with the scream. Now he's going to be locked in. Yoki can't get into the fight. In the meantime, Wyvern's going to die. Sonic Wave, not the best you've ever seen, but it's enough to get the job done as EGM is there with the shackles. Yoki, false promise, keeps him up, but just a little bit longer as he will absolutely die as soon as it expires. That's a 3-0. And Alliance continuing to make it 4-0 as Loda caught up on the back end of the fight and manages to bring one more down. This is going high ground. Respawn timers are relatively short given we're at 22 minutes, but with a Serpent Ward, certainly this will be a tier 3 in racks.
They just controlled the VP chorus too well that fight. The Sven specifically, he blinked in, gets Hex, and at that point, Oracle can false promise him to dispel the Hex, but it's not really worth it. I mean, ideally, he wasn't in position to Fortune's End right away, which is kind of the ideal scenario. You Fortune's End, you purge off the Hex, and then save the false promise for a Roar or something, but there was an Ensnare from the Chen, there's a Roar, there's so many different spells Alliance have to keep the Sven locked in place that he just couldn't get that insta-burst. And we talk a lot about it where you got to burst on that one target fast. They didn't do it. As a result, Alliance just completely snowball out of control in that fight.
Yep, snowball's the word I would use. EGM picks up a Scepter now. That's a 23-minute Arcane Blink Scepter for EGM Shadow Shaman. So everything really paying off for Alliance so far. Roche is back up now, and I don't know how VP gets a tourniquet on this one, man. They are hemorrhaging in every conceivable way. Top 3 in net worth are all Alliance.
There's not really a conceivable way for them to contest this Roche. There's a Dire Ward on their high ground. This smoke gets spotted of all things, so Alliance know this smoke's coming. Guess what? They're going to finish Roche in time anyways. They're probably just going to run right at VP and take another fight if they want to. I mean, VP is still actually going for this is the crazy thing. Like they saw Roche drop ages ago, and they're positioning themselves in their jungle as if they want to fight right now. Because Alliance could have taken Roche and immediately entered the Radiant jungle. So VP are just like, they're all in right now. And that was without, Winter's Curse was actually on cooldown until that very second. So, I mean, it's like, I'm like, why is VP doing this? But the reason why they're doing this is because there's no real way back in this game that makes any sense. So they've just got to do something ballsy, something unpredictable.
Yep. I can't blame them. I mean, like, graphs stop mattering at a certain point. I mean, looks like there's a cloak pickup, or a hood pickup, excuse me, for Ake, so.
He's already got the upgraded pipe now, too.
Yeah,
so.
that's ridiculous.
Yeah, this Zeus is going to be
sad boy.
Very much neutered in these fights.
Well, I mean, on the positive side, I guess if you can pick one, FNG's continuing to do what he can to keep this map pushed out.
My positive side would be like, this is a best of 3, not a best of 1. when you said on the positive side, I was like, yeah, this game too, let's go.
On the positive side, I don't think they're cursing at each other in team chat, so. No, I'm just, trying to make sure I stretch my legs the right way. There was a day when I was accused of being too negative as a caster, and making sure I look for the bright side. Do get to see the pipe, which is nice. But anyway, VP really in trouble, and all they can really do is hope for a miracle now. I mean, the Sven is the only one that's even in range of the net worth of any other core on the map for Alliance, and it's reached a point where now even the Shadow Shaman is more farmed than the Nature's Prophet and the Zeus. So everything just going poorly, basically, from the draft. Here we go. There's the engagement. G caught. He's going to be bursted down. There's a Sonic Wave behind it and the Omni Slash. Yoki can do nothing but go red or go home, and he's going to be sent to the showers pretty quickly. And once again, the healing, the sustain. Alliance executing a phenomenal game plan to damn near perfection as they're going to put up a Game 1 win just south of 26 minutes in. And tell you what, man, if there's one way you can describe Alliance, past, present, and future, I would imagine, is that when they know what they're doing with heroes like this, these comfort zone heroes, the ones that have made their names, especially heroes like that Shin for Ake, they can absolutely put the screws to you in a hurry.
It's funny because this is exactly what they were doing at Starlight at Minsk, and nobody really figured out a great way of dealing with it. I mean, we didn't see Alliance have the best showing at Shanghai, but they were one of the kind of favorites going in that tournament. Right. They just met these teams who were kind of on the rise and who had a really good game plan for them. Alliance, when they get their heroes, when they're on their A game, you've got to be playing your best Dota, have a clear plan in mind, and VP just didn't really seem to bring that today.
Right, if anything, and this is just talking, I guess, as much historically as currently, just to build on your point, if there is one way that traditionally you can derail Alliance, it's just screw up what they're planning to do very early on. Like, they are a team that, again, obviously, they've known each other, they played together forever, they're flexible, but it's when they're at their best is when they're able to just go step by step, A to B to C to D. And unfortunately, Virtus.Pro just not only unable to do so, failing spectacularly at doing so, and a big Game 1 win for Alliance. I mean, when you look at just look at the box score, man. Yoki 0-4 on that Sven, 0-4 on Zeus. You're talking a collective 12, 17, 0-17 on 4 of the 5 years.
Those 2 kills they got all came in like the first 6 or 7 minutes in unfavorable trades. It was like a trade, or like the Chen died once where it's it didn't really matter. They'd already killed, they got a more important kill elsewhere. They got the courier, so.
Right.
For VP, I mean, the thing with Alliance is the way they win is always like they'll beat you in 25 minutes. That was like EG in the grand finals at the last Star Ladder, where they make it look like a stomp. And yeah, this is pretty much a straightforward stomp, but these strategies, like they lead that direction where like everything comes together, works perfectly.
Right.
Game's over 25 minutes in. So
Gorgeous play from Alliance, and they're up to a 1-0 lead. I'm Ayesee, and that's GoDz. We're going to throw it back to the panelists' desk, see what they thought of the game right after this.
E-gaming bets. We accept